you remember how I have a tailbone injury?
Right.
For those who don't remember, 15 years ago or so, 2009. Yeah, my dad was like, let's go for a mountain bike ride together in the woods. And I was like, okay. And he gave me, so I didn't have a bike, and he gave me some like beat up bike because he fixes bikes. And this thing, like it had like a rusty chain or something. I didn't want to change gears easily. And I was going up a hill. The gear wasn't turning over. And then it finally did unexpectedly. And but by this point I was standing on the thing, and imagine like there's all this tension in the pedals. And then suddenly there's none, and you just come crashing down on the seat. And it broke, presumably, I never got x-rays or anything, but presumably it broke my tailbone. And then for years, it felt like, like I'd be laying down at nighttime, and occasionally I'd be like, oh, my tailbone still hurts. That's crazy. That happened a year ago. That happened 2 years ago. That happened 3 years ago. And I just started living with the fact that I had a little bit of tailbone pain. And then it got worse, certainly after the weight loss. And then maybe all the exercise too irritated it. So Nina was like, well, yeah, because I was like, what do you do about this? And it's like, well, you can't have, surgery is not a great option. If it healed wrong, there's only so much they can do surgically. But she was like, you could see a chiropractor. Maybe it's a ligament thing. Maybe it's, something you could. So for those who remember, I went to a chiropractor. They did some kind of therapy on it, some hocus pocus that may or may not work. And it had been getting pretty uncomfortable by this point. I felt complete relief for like 24 hours. And I was like, whoa, the chiropractor works. And then it got worse again. And then it got like 20x bad. Nah. Like it got way worse. And one of the things they learned was that it was the right ligament to the right of the tailbone. I never realized it was off to the side a little bit, but it is. It's a little bit to the right. And it's probably that the bone fused a little bit strangely, just a little bit. Look, your body is a fragile thing.
It's a delicate balance.
There's, yeah. This is why, like, when people get like crazy cosmetic surgeries and stuff, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, yeah. Like, I know somebody who got like a tooth pulled, and their tongue is like paralyzed for like the rest of their life. It's like,
yeah, our bodies are very delicate, like precious systems, complex, precious systems. And yeah, when it starts to come to your butt and your genitals and stuff, your plumbing, things are pretty delicate. So now I'm like, well, fuck, now I'm, and I tend to sit on a, because people will be like, you sit on a donut. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't want to sit on a donut every time I have to sit for the rest of my life. Like I can't be throwing in the towel this early. And two, it actually it gets uncomfortable in other ways. Cause like if you're like lifted up on a donut pillow, I mean, this is one of the least comfortable ways you can sit. And I find in a computer chair, I'm fine. Cause I'm like leaning forward, like the pressure is off that ligament. So the chiropractor is like, we can't do anything for you. So Nina was like, next time you go to your annual physical, ask them for a referral. So I did, and it took months basically for them to get me in with somebody. But the referral went to neurosurgery. She happens to work in neurology. It turned out the guy was in the same building as her, so she got to come with me like she was my mom.
Took you out of school and brought you in.
Yeah, got me a Happy Meal. Nice neurosurgeon, but he's telling me bad news too. He's like, well, I wouldn't do surgery. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, the rate of infection in that area, because we have to cut into your butt and stuff, is going to be pretty bad. Or he's like, there's like a, I don't know what he said, more than a 30% chance of infection or something. And a lot of time, like only 60% of people report relief, like long-term relief from the surgery. So it's high risk and low reward. So he's like, probably not. He goes, have you tried Tylenol, sir? And I was like, Tylenol's been in the news.
I'm a Tylenol American myself.
Yeah, I'm an acetaminophen. No, I don't just mean regular Tylenol. I mean like take like 2 Advils and 2 Tylenols, and together they create some kind of meth. and
that doesn't, like, you would have to take that forever? Is that the idea?
Yeah, well, that was my first question. Yeah, like when he's like, have you tried pain medicine? I'm like, fuck you. He's like, no, I mean,
stuff's supposed to like, you're not supposed to take that stuff forever. I don't know.
It's supposedly bad for your stomach to be taking Advil all the time. But he's like, no, I mean, like take those, like take high strength combined Tylenol plus Advil. Every whatever it was, 4 hours or 6 hours or something. And he's like, for a week. And just to see, because what could be happening is it's inflamed. Nothing's bringing the inflammation down. And so like take like this kind of heavy regimen of inflammatories or anti-inflammatories, and maybe it'll come down more permanently. to try that. And I got like a little bit of relief from it, but really just not that much. And then he's like, I'm going to send you to the pain clinic. So I go to the pain clinic. I meet another nice guy. I hate going to the doctors. That's going to be one of the precursors to this whole story. Everybody in a medical clinical setting is old, right? Or, 70% or something. Like there's no young people walking around with painful butts. It's old people who are, with their wives who are equally old, but a little bit healthier. It's like it's a sad little situation every time I go to especially if you go to a specialist. Part of it is there is this kind of like bureaucratic intake process that feels so like they ask you the same question 25 times. Like, what's with this electronic system you have over here that just utterly useless? And I find that like everybody that leads up to the doctor themselves is kind of an asshole. Like the whole pipeline, like, and they have a stupid like they call you the day before to change everything on you. And, and they don't leave a message that says what they need. They go, please call us back. Call it you back. Leave a fucking message.
Stanley, pick up the phone and call me.
Send an email. There's a portal, but and they want
the portal's useless. Yeah.
They want to use that portal thing, so I'm like, you know what? I'll ask a question in the portal and it'll go to billing accidentally. And, I hate it. I hate the whole, I'm like, this needs to be ironed out. And I feel like that I get the sense that the medical industry or the staff, the people who staff the medical industry are resistant to good systems. I get that impression.
Probably.
But the doctors tend to be nice. And sometimes you get a good RN or something. So a guy comes in and he's like, well, what we can do for you, Mr. Frayne, is there are steroid shots. You could have a steroid shot in your, past the buttocks, through the bone, away from your bowels, and we'd get you a steroid shot. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's showing me he's got some like model ass. And he's like, so we would go through the asshole.
Stick it in there.
We would take the gigantic needle and stick it through the asshole directly into the colon. I'm like, does that hurt? He's like, not really. I'm like, how does that not hurt? How does that not hurt?
Is it going to your bone?
We'll fish around through the bone with the needle.
Back and forth.
I was like, is that going to work? And he's like, he goes like that. He gives me a tired shrug.
That's what I like in my medical professionals.
And he goes, worth a shot. Worth a shot. I was like, is that a pun? He's like, not really. It could be.
Could be.
He said there were two kinds, and this, he recommends this first one. And I said, does it work on others? He's like, sometimes. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, what am I doing here right now?
Doctor's powerless to help anybody, really.
I go, all right, fine, let's do it. And he's like, okay, Belinda will call you.
Your shrug convinced me.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, worth a shot. First, I had an MRI scheduled, so I wanted to see if they could see the broken bone or whatever. And I go to St. Luke's Hospital in New Bedford for that, and I couldn't find the damn place. It's like the place where they do MRIs is like tucked way in the back by the dumpsters.
Oh yes, the dumpster MRI.
So I went to like the main entrance. I was like, can you tell me where the MRIs? I'm looking for a good MRI. He's like, oh yeah, follow me. And this dude walks me through like the entire like Overlook Hotel, like all the way. I'm like, weren't you staffed at the front desk? Do you have the ability to walk this far with me right now for this? And he's like, I hate the girl that I work with. She's on her phone the whole time and I could just use the walk. I'm going to get, so he walks me all the way down.
Just miserable people in all these medical establishments.
Yeah. And the whole place smells like dick. Have you like I don't know. It smells like stale oxygen, and what like yesterday's dinner in the weird cafeteria, and incense from the chapel or something. It just smells weird in there. Like you're just a little closer to death than you were before.
I'm sucking life. I've just sucked 1 year of your life away.
So he walks me all the way down. I get to the nice young gay man at the front desk who checks me in. And Nina's with me at this point too, but she has to go get gloves, so she leaves. And they call me in, and they go, here's like the gown, like put this on, but don't tie it in the back. Like, see your ass, and then come out when you're ready. That's what they said. And it wasn't. It was they put me in like it was like a locker room basically. It was like this little gross room with a locker. And so I came out almost immediately. It didn't take long, and I'm wandering around looking for. They said to come out.
They disappeared.
And I'm walking around with my butt hanging out. And there's like a guy in a wheelchair just left alone, absent in the middle of the hallway.
It's like suddenly, and you're like 28 days later, you're alone.
Totally. I'm the guy walking around with my ass hanging out.
What does this remind you of?
Can't help but think of 9/11.
It's kind of, it's a little, yeah, all right, let's carry on.
So then this woman who I hadn't seen yet comes out and she's like, hey, you can't be back here. And I was like, well, they told me to come out. She's like, no, we told you to open the door. But you have to stay in there. I was like, oh, okay. So I go back in and I wait like 30 minutes in like this cold locker room with this gown on. And finally she's like, Francis. And I come out and she's like, all right, we're going to get you over there, start an IV. Do you remember the story about I pass out when I get blood taken?
Yeah.
I have this vasovagal response. My body thinks we're losing blood and it shuts down. I can't help it. I'm not really all that queasy, maybe a little queasy, but I'm not all that queasy around needles. Vaccinations, no problem. You know, when you go to get blood, there's like a little table with a little seat. I pass out in that thing. I'm going to die in that thing someday. And she points at that. She's like, we're going to get an IV started. Thing is, like, I don't want to pass out, EJ, because like I don't know if you've ever had a moment like that where like blood pressure tanks and you pass out. You don't really recover from it for the rest of the day. You're all fucked up for the rest of the day. Like you don't just come out of it. And the other aspect to it is they can never find my vein. That's a really big problem for me. They can never. So they're digging around. They're making a hole in my arm. And I said, wait a minute. Why an IV? I'm here for an MRI. No, no IV. And she was like, you getting contrast. And I was like, I don't know what that is. She's like, well, it says here, getting contrast. It says it on your paper. I later learned it's some kind of dye or some kind of fluid they put in you to help with the imaging. I got to pump that into you with a needle. I was like, can't I drink it?
Yeah.
I was like, well, what do I need that for? And she was like, you getting checked for cancer. And I was like, no, you got the wrong guy. I'm here for, I have a broken tailbone. I'm getting my, she goes, says here, cancer. And she showed
Just callous. And
she didn't give a fuck.
The can, sir?
And she shows me the paper and it was like, something tumor. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? Why is that there? And she's like, sit down, you get an IV. I don't think I am, actually. And she goes, well, you can refuse it. That's fine. And I said, yeah, I would like to refuse it, actually. I don't want it. And I think if somebody had been a little bit cooler about it, like, well, we can, we could do it later.
Cancer.
It says here, cancer. I think if somebody had like explained like, oh, it's this thing called contrast. The reason it can be helpful and, it might be worth your time is because of this, that, and the other. Yeah, it's probably not for cancer, but anytime we're checking bone, fractures, sometimes we'll do that. But no, she's it says on your paper. So I end up sitting in the table of doom anyway, but I refused the IV. And this guy, this 28 days later dude in the wheelchair, he looks worse for wear.
Does he need contrast? Where's he going?
He's like, ma'am, my blood sugar's real low. I'm not doing good at all. And she's like, well, none of us are nurses.
just like,
and it's just her and the gay guy from the front desk. She's like, well, none of us are nurses. So he's like, well, it's just that they've had me sitting here for like 2 hours now and I need food. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I could call somebody, but it's really not my job. It's not really my problem.
God.
Yeah, and then like coming out of the MRI is like a cancer patient, bald. I think they just deal in death all day long, just different. And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, keep me away from a fucking hospital, dude. I mean, look, respect to the hospitals. They keep people alive to some degree. And, I guess I'd rather do it with them than without them if I come down with a chronic or fatal illness. But I don't like it. She pulls the gay guy in and I overheard their conversation. She was like, can you just watch him? He doesn't look very good. Like, I actually didn't know if they were talking about me, but they were talking about the other guy. Like, you just watch him. He doesn't look very good. And then the guy was standing there and he was like, just so you know, I'm not security. Like, I'm not like worried about you. And he's like, well, I couldn't do anything he's like, if I tried to swing at you, I'd be on the ground. And they're trying to like call somebody to come, but there's no staff. Everybody's laid off. Nobody has jobs. And yet everywhere is understaffed. Eventually I went in for this MRI. You know, I'd never had one before. There was another very nice medical assistant who gave me a nice warm blanket. And I went in there and yeah, it makes loud banging sounds for like 20 minutes while you have to just sit there as still as possible. I found it kind of relaxing, actually. It was like raw dogging, you know, when dudes go on planes and they don't look at their phones. It's a little bit like that.
Stay with your thoughts.
So I go in for the butt shot. This is last Monday. And they do the whole thing. I got to put on the surgical cap. I got to get in the gown. I got to get on the stretcher. Actually, no gown. But I had to get on the stretcher, which is by far the most fun part, by the way. You get to like sit in the stretcher and they just wheel you around all over the place. Oh yeah, the guy comes out. He's like, Mr. Frame, we're going to get you going in about 5 minutes. Do you have any questions for me? I was like, yeah, is this painful? He's like, well, we're going to be hitting bone and that, you know, be a little uncomfortable, a little strange, but most people tolerate it really well. And I was like, well, you're going to numb it, right? He's like, oh yeah, we'll use like the lidocaine and it'll be fine. And I still felt like I didn't know what to expect. I'm getting a little nervous, so I'm like cracking a lot of jokes. I'm making a lot of jokes. Most of them about butts and stuff. And once you get in the room, they go into, you know, war mode.
Could you please shut up, Frank?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, what's the life? Zwings. This place is funny.
Where'd you get that slide whistle?
Hey kids, it's me, Bozo the Clown, on WLVI 56. So they're like, all right, they said, do you have buttons or anything on your pants? And I was like, yes, I didn't come here in sweatpants. And they were like, okay, can you just like unbutton them? And they had like a blanket over me. You know, they're very like cautious about anything like sexual harassment. They're like really worried, but I'm like, but you're about to stick a needle in my ass. So like, let's do away with the formalities. And I was like, oh, so what do you want me to do? They're like, we just want you to unbutton and then roll onto the other stretcher onto your stomach. And I was like, oh, well, are we taking my pants down? Is it butt time? Was my question. I said, is it butt time? And they go, yeah, it's butt time. was their response. And I said, oh, and I found it uncomfortable and a little bit like awkward to roll over with my pants unbuckled onto the stretcher. I feel like both stretchers would part accidentally because they're both on wheels or something. Right. They probably locked them, but you know, I still was worried about it. So I got up on my knees. I pulled my pants all the way down, like full moon the whole room, and then I kind of collapsed onto the other stretcher, and everybody started laughing. And I was like, what? And they're like, Mr. Frayne, you're not shy. And I was like, well, should I be? I mean, it was now a good time to be shy. It was like getting a cavity filled. Like they put some lidocaine on it and it pinched a little for a moment. Not really bad at all. And then, yeah, you feel, because it's all numb by that point, you feel this thing going deep into your, and that was the biggest risk apparently is that they'll hit your bowels and you leave with broken bowels. Now that would not be cool.
No.
Because I don't need incontinence at 39. I think your continence is one of the most important things about your life. I think.
I mean, yes.
Right? The ability to catch your own shit before it happens. And, but yeah, they deployed the stuff in there that they needed to deploy, wheeled me out. And they had a big thing about like, they're like, you have to have a ride. On my way in, they were like, what ride's number? And I really didn't have a ride for the day. Nina was at work. My parents were available, but I didn't really want to bother them. I had driven there myself. And I kept thinking I would be able to like secretly just sneak off, like just blow off, but they were not allowing it. They were like keeping me in the surgical center until like they were going to call my mom for me. And I was like, hey, listen, do I really need a ride out of here? And I asked the doctor and he was like, technically speaking, it could affect leg motor muscles. And then, you know, I was like, oh, so it's a liability thing. He's like, it's a liability thing. And I was like, well, so I said, hey, I was talking to a nurse. I said, do I really need to get a ride? And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, we can't let you leave without a ride. Sorry. What, are you going to trap me here? I mean, what do you mean? Like, I'm not allowed to leave?
My ride's here.
Yeah, I was, but they wanted to like do the phone call themselves. So then I hit him with that. I hit him with what are you going to, like, am I being held against my will?
Am I being detained?
Am I being detained?
I would like to press charges.
You don't get to.
I'm being held against my will.
This is my own private domicile, bitch.
This is my own private domicile and I will not be harassed, bitch.
And they were like, no, we can't keep you here, but you can sign a thing that says that you accept all liability. I was like, oh, I would like to sign the thing that says I accept all liability. And I signed it and I fucking got out of there. So twice now. Yeah, this is my advice for anybody. And maybe I needed this advice. I don't know. But when you're going through the meat grinder of the medical system, I like remain opinionated, say no to things you don't feel like doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything that they do, because the thing is their checkbox system of things you need to do, that's for them. That's their fucking compliance. That's not you. You know, do what you think makes sense.
Know your rights and use them, please.
You want to guess how much money it was to get the butt shots out of pocket without, this was my copay?
$2,000.
It was $750.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm feeling the $750 hole in my pocket. For the rest of the day, that very specific area, and I had asked him, I said, I said, hey, just one thing.
I'm warning you, no more questions.
When we were in the office and I was trying to locate the pain, I feel like you never really put like a finger on the pain. And he was like, that's okay, it doesn't matter. I was like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? He was like, like where the pain could possibly come from is in one little nerve bundle. And that's what we're going to shoot today. Like it's the only sensation you could possibly feel down there. So I went the rest of the day with the lidocaine blocking, basically like all pain in that area was blocked. It was great. It was amazing. Made my life so good. And I was like, oh, maybe this is and it felt numb. It felt like something had been, you know, it felt like sensation had been removed. Not just pain, but sensation entirely. But I was okay with it because it was like a hyper specific area, and I'd rather feel nothing than pain. By the end of the night, I felt a twinge. But I would stand up the pain is really bad when I have been sitting for like an hour and I stand up. I really feel that's when it like really tightens. And that was a little better for a couple days. They told me, they're like, oh, it can be 3 to 5 days before the steroid really does its stuff. And, you know, the lidocaine will wear off and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, most people, they said, like, will get some relief for several months. We normally measure this in several months. In 3 or 4 days, I was just back to complete normal. Just nothing different whatsoever. $750 and all that rigmarole and all the bullshit and all the get a ride, just nothing. Totally worthless.
Oh.
He's like, well, you know, there's other options. This is kind of a diagnostic thing to some degree. So I have a telehealth with him next week, and I'll tell him how useless this was.
That's too bad.
So the hunt for a better butt continues.
But from now on, I'd like you to be more careful. One more injury like that, and you could wind up like that poor creature there in the iron butt.
Oh, man. It itches.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.